are you in terms of Arsenal winning the Premier League this season? What would you put it on the scale that we're about to pull up?
I think you've got to be careful because it's always after a defeat, it's easy to go overboard the other way. In the same way, you should never go overboard when they've won. So if you look at the categories right now, you look at either end of the meter, yeah, we can forget about that one right now. We're definitely not there. That I don't like as a phrase anyway, in general, for any sports event.
And it's not there yet.
No.
Yet.
So, I think we can exclude Gunners rolling. So my question mark is, it's somewhere between these two.
I don't know if head's gone, Jeff.
The reason I say that, Nico, is the performance on Saturday was so poor, so collectively poor, so lacking in intensity. So you never saw a team there say, listen, there's only 7 games to go. There was. Win this, keeps the pressure on Manchester City.
Right.
They offered nothing. Now, that graphic about April, it could be a combination of physical and mental tiredness.
Agreed.
They played a lot of games. So I'm somewhere between those. If I could put it right between the two, I'd go right there.
Unfortunately, we can't. I would go 0-0.
Yeah, because I'm more. If I can't go between the two, I'm going here.
And here's why. There's a prime opportunity on Sunday. You win against Manchester City, win at the Etihad.
Yep.
Title's wrapped up.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
So much could be decided, and that's why Arsenal can't panic, because there's on one game, on 90 minutes of football, there's a strong possibility to swing the title in your favor again.
Could be an historic moment. It could be an historic moment.
How exciting for Arsenal. Right?
That's
Is that where their head's at,
That's not how they've attacked the season in any way. You talked about the big games, Nico, and the mentality that goes with it. Even in that last Mikel Arteta clip, I thought that he did pretty well at, hey, I don't want to criticize my players. This is what you want to hear from a manager. And he still can't help himself. He goes, I'm not making excuses, but, we've played a lot of games. So is Manchester City. This is, every time that he kind of comes into a press conference, there's something different. How many times on the show have we talked about it? To the point where that is imbued within the locker room. Victor Gyökeres gives a kind of a throwaway line in an interview after the game, at home, complaining about, or just, the pitch was really dry, and that didn't help us either. Your star forward feels so emboldened to just make a throwaway line of, the pitch was slow, and, that didn't help us either. Why is that? That comes from the manager. That is the leadership, and that is the mentality within the group. And that's why when we're talking about the draw, maybe against Manchester City, Mikel Arteta would die for that, because that's all he's thinking about. There is a very small margin that you could actually believe that they're going to go there and win.
Do you think them losing this weekend, Nico, is going to impact how they go into the Champions League against Sporting?
No. I think we've said it on this show again plenty of times. Arsenal are good enough, they're deep enough to win both of these titles. There's a Champions League 4 games away. 4 games away from a Champions League title. And in one of those games, you have an advantage. Against Manchester City, you can wrap it up this Sunday. I understand the anxiety, because it's been 22 years of almosts for a lot of Arsenal fans. But on the flip side, how exciting that it's under your control. I understand that the momentum has shifted and perhaps Arsenal are trending in a negative direction. But within 4 days, you can shift that momentum. Football is beautiful in that way. And what I want to see from Arsenal, as someone who has no horse in this race, the Arsenal that we've been talking about all season is an Arsenal that is going to go and claim what they think is theirs. And that's how you win titles. Not holding on for dear life. Going after what you want.
I'm sorry, one more time. What about their play style, even when things are going perfectly? What about their play style and the way that they set up in games leads you to that conclusion? It's not just about the results, it's the performance and the lack of intuition to go forward.
Well, Jeff, how would you fix Arsenal going into this week? You're going to be giving us your 3 main points.
Yeah, if I can remember what they were. Number one, okay. First of all, I would 100% say They've got to get some intensity back into their game. We didn't really see it against Sporting either. They just got, I mean, to be honest with you, Nico, I thought Sporting were bang average for the team that were at home. They could have gone for, I know Raya played well that day, but Sporting I thought could have had more of a go. They've got to get some intensity back in their game and tempo. It's so slow at the moment. So slow. They really, the build-up, and then when they get into the final third, it's the horseshoe around. Bravery. In football, they talk about bravery, and this can be fronting up against a big centre half. This can be a physical battle. No, show for the ball. Want the ball. There's nothing worse when you're David Raya or you're Gabby Jesus or even Declan Rice in midfield. You get the ball, you look up, who you can put it to, and all you see is about half a dozen backs going that way, and all you see is shirt numbers. You see nobody going, give it to me, give it to me. Nobody's showing for the ball. You've got to be brave. You've got to have confidence. You've got to want it. And the last one, I alluded to it just there, it comes with the intensity and tempo. Get the ball forward quicker. Play in verticals. Start getting Gyökeres in behind. When you look at Arsenal, you saw it at the weekend as well, how clever, how inventive the movement when they play the ball out from the back. Do that at the front. Take what you do at the back and do it at the front. Play around people, move around, get in, start creating more chances, because they just look, at the moment, they look so passive, and it all comes back to the mentality. Because they're frightened of losing what they've got, it looks as though they're frightened of losing that, so they're playing within themselves, which leads to a negativity, which leads to an inertia. So therefore, that's why they're not progressing. They've got to lose that completely. It goes back to what I said. Remember who you are. Remember what got you to where you are now. That's number one. Remember who you are.
Start the cater on Sunday.
100%. 100%. The only problem is he doesn't give you a lot going that way. You could be inviting trouble.
Who's going to break a couple lines? Who's going to be audacious? Who's going to have that fighting spirit? I don't know. It might seem far-fetched, but one of few kids that I see, one of the few Arsenal players that kind of are fearless to try, to create, to break somebody up. I don't know.
And when you, I mean, tactically, I think the big problem is it's the shortness of time. He's got to prepare for Sporting. You've got to forget about Man City. Arsenal, at the training ground at London Coney, should not even be talking about Man City. I said they should have a big meeting today. It's about playing football. Forget about Man City. That's for later in the week.
What would you change tactically then, going into this week?
I don't think they've got a huge choice in terms of personnel. I'm not sure where Jurriën Timber is at. If he's fit, that would make a big... Unfortunately, Ben White, although he's played relatively regularly over the last 6 weeks, he's looked very rusty, and he has been caught out on a number of occasions. So he's not had the best of times. Zubimendi, again, and this is not picking out individuals, it's a collective, but he's been nowhere near. You know, this is the player we talk about, heir apparent to Rodri's crown. This is the one of the best holding midfield players. He hasn't looked anything like it whatsoever. So David Raya invites a lot of pressure, but I wouldn't criticise him because he sets up so much as well. It's not tactics, it's mentality, Hannah. It's not the personnel. Tactics-wise, as we said just now, just play, just get forwards and start moving the ball. Look like you want to own it. Look like you want to score.
Well, it's an interesting one going into the Sporting game because it is at the Emirates, Tom, and normally playing at home gives you an advantage. But what we saw in the weekend game, the fans were booing at the end of the game. Do you think it's a disadvantage that they're at home this week in the Champions League?
I understand the theory and the questioning of the pressure that brings. No, it doesn't, because you're still at home. You still have that advantage. The fans will be weary and kind of turn if you give them reasons to. So it all starts within that group, within the locker room, on the field. Those players, they can control that. It makes bad times worse, but it should make good times better. And I'd choose to be optimistic and really want it if you're an Arsenal player, if you're in that locker room.
Give them something to cheer about.
Exactly.
It's this dynamic and this energy at the Emirates right now. It's a little bit tricky because I do understand the anxiety of Arsenal fans. How could you not? Like, look at what hope does to a fan base. I think
The most dangerous thing you can give a team.
Right, and these Arsenal fans understand being the bridesmaid and never the bride for so long. And we've been talking about the two different realities of Arsenal, the fans and the squad, in the dressing room, closed doors. But there's one place where those two feelings kind of merge, and it's during the 90 minutes while Arsenal's playing at the Emirates and the result doesn't go their way. You start hearing the moans and the groans and the anxiety that surrounds this Arsenal team. And it feels like that energy, to some degree, Jeff, it seeps into the pitch when things aren't going Arsenal's way.
You're 1,000,000% right. I would never, ever criticise any set of fans because they pay their money and they're entitled to say and think what they like. But I think I would have to say, even as an Arsenal fan, it's not helping. The anxiety is transmitting to the players. And I'm not sure what they try and get behind their team, but they're not being fed anything in return. So you can understand their anxiety.
It's almost like a blessing in disguise that the game is at the Etihad on Sunday.
Manchester City swept Chelsea aside by 3-0. Danny, very interesting from you this morning. We're sitting through there in the office, and you were telling me what a rocket Guardiola must have given them at half.
Well, I don't know he did, but if you ever watch a game, there's two extremes. It's that. I mean, first half they played like it was a bit of a testimonial. There was no energy, intensity. It was bizarre, especially from a side who trying to win the league. And obviously Pep was fuming because the difference second half with the speed they played, the commitment they went forward with, the risks they took, it was just chalk and cheese. And that had to be down to him. Had to be. Loved to have been a fly on the wall. Second half, they absolutely battered Chelsea.
Yeah.
They steamrolled them and just played too quickly for them, too cute, too clever. It was a worrying performance, that second half from Chelsea. I mean, City are a good side, don't get me wrong, and they can do that to anyone. They walked over Liverpool recently.
Yes, yeah.
But Chelsea at home, they were in the game first half. Second half, they just got brushed aside and couldn't do anything.
Just on Chelsea, I got a message a moment ago. Chelsea, 2nd of November. Owners and manager have set fire to the place since then. No identity as a team. Incredibly ineffective subs. Halftime interview, what was that about? Well, that would be contractual, wouldn't it? But nothing but meaningless jargon in interviews. Moment, outstanding, top, project. I know where he's going with that. Having said that, the day before, Arsenal lost at home to Bournemouth. And now Manchester City can go level in points with Arsenal if they win their game in hand and beat the Gunners at their Etihad next Sunday. So what are we seeing at the moment? What did City give us yesterday at Stamford Bridge? This was Pep post-match, playing it down a bit somewhat.
Well, we've done a good 3 games, but the best team in England so far is Arsenal. The best team in Europe so far is Arsenal because the numbers are there, the consistency they had. But we have the definitive match ball next Sunday and prepare well this week. What suggests they will adjust, comparing the final, the Carabao Cup, and what they have to do with our people to try to perform well, because it's what defines the teams, is how you play.
Simon, we've been here before, have we not? Has this got a familiar feeling of Manchester City reeling in their prey? Are they right? They're smelling blood.
I don't think Man City are reeling them in. I think Arsenal are trying to navigate their way through a situation, and they're not imposing themselves in games. Whatever the motivation of it is, whatever the reasons behind it, Man City are just doing their job. You know, that's their job, is to win football matches, and Arsenal's job is to navigate their way through however they see fit. But they're seemingly doing it in a fashion which is creating more problems than it's providing solutions for themselves. I don't know whether it stems from the cup final team that put Kepa in goal and creates a downsize in the mentality of the side, and it starts to build from there, or there is a general feeling amongst the managerial setup that they want to manage games through. But Bournemouth are not mugs. Bournemouth are a good side, but you would expect Arsenal not to have lost that game. And you would expect Arsenal not to have performed the way they did in that game. But you look at it and say, I think everything turns on the weekend. I don't think that I still think Arsenal will win the league. There's still a pass with me, and maybe it's because I tip things and it always goes wrong, and probably Arsenal fans are thinking, Christ's sake, don't tip us. I still think Arsenal will win the league. I still think Arsenal have performances in them in big games, like we saw last week when they went out to Sporting and got criticised for the manner in which they played.
Yeah.
They still got a result.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
I'm not 100% convinced anymore.
Yeah.
But there's a.
Are you, Danny?
think if you go on the weekend's games, you'd make City favourites because there's a strut about them and a confidence and a zip about them.
Swagger.
But Arsenal have showed many times after disappointment that they can bounce back and produce performances, and they only need to avoid defeat to keep it within their own hands next week. I say only. It's a big ask, but they are, on their day, brilliant defensively. I think Timber's been a big miss for them. The one thing on Saturday that worried me about the performance was the nervousness that spread throughout the team. There was only really Rice who maintained his level and looked comfortable. The rest, Zubamendi, brilliant technician, giving the ball away with no pressure on him. The goalkeeper, who's been phenomenal all season, caught in two minds with his passing out. I mean, Bournemouth were exceptional. It was a hell of a performance. Let's not take away from them. They went after Arsenal because they smelt it.
Yeah.
I think they thought, because normally when you go and press a good team, they play through you and you then drop off because the fear kicks in. It's like, you're running around like headless chickens and they're just too good. But they just kept winning it back.
I want to ask you something. Why would Arsenal be seemingly paralysed by fear?
Well, I think it's a lot of players who've not been there before, which is understandable. But ultimately, it's down
They have been here. A lot of them have been here before.
They have not got over the line, though, have they?
They've been in this situation before, though. I know they haven't got over the line, but they're well practiced.
But the doubts kick in, don't they, still? When
Do you recognise that characterisation? You've been an elite footballer. You've been in amongst elite footballers that are trying to achieve things. Do you characterise Arsenal as being paralysed by fear?
I think that's no, I think that's probably too much. But I think too many of them are overthinking and playing too safe. The performance was so negative. It was like, take a risk, be free. If you fail, you fail. When you watch Cherki play at Man City, he just doesn't. If he fails, he doesn't care about failing. Yeah. He takes risks. Yeah. He's got confidence in himself. It's like the Arsenal players. It's been drained a little bit over the last few weeks. The manager has a responsibility to a degree, but I was very lucky at Liverpool. I mean, we only going for a title 1 year, and we did fail. We finished second, but when we got over the line in the cups and stuff, we had some really, I remember feeling nervous in games where you overthink every pass and you're giving it away. And people like Gary Mack, Didier Man, I've talked about them before, but they calm you down. They just settle you. And then Michael or Stevie had produced some magic and just play free, And you need one or two stars in the team who can get you over the line.
Yeah.
In games like the Bournemouth one.
Yeah.
And when Arsenal were chasing the game, there was no one really. Eza did a bit when he come on. He looked like he was going, right, give it to me. He started making stuff happen, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
Gyökeres, I'm not sure. He can't hold the ball up. He can't produce something on his own. He has to rely on the service. The wide boys aren't really at it. Madueke and Martinelli. Trossard was negative coming back. I don't know. I don't know how much of it comes from the manager, because ultimately, if the manager says to you, go and be free, play, make mistakes, then I don't see him giving that message. So we'll have to wait and see.
The chance at Wembley yesterday was that Arsenal are just far too pragmatic. Arteta's too pragmatic. That was a word that kept on coming through. I was talking to Andy Cole yesterday at Wembley. I'm going to put it out.
Well, Gooners, after hearing that from Arteta, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That one hurts. You can feel it in his voice straight away. He called it a punch in the face, and honestly, that's exactly what it felt like watching it. Flat, sloppy, nowhere near our level. But here's the thing. I actually liked the way he handled it. No excuses, no blaming fatigue, no hiding behind injuries. He said it clearly. We got the basics wrong, and against a team like that, you get punished. Simple as that. And that's the part that frustrates me the most as a fan. Not losing, but how we lost. Because we've seen this Arsenal team play unbelievable football for months. Control games, dominate, look like champions, and then suddenly we drop off like that? That's what can't happen at this stage of the season. I also respect that he apologised to the fans. He knows the Emirates has been rocking, backing the team non-stop, and when you put in a performance like that, you owe them more. That accountability matters. Now, the big question everyone's asking, is the momentum gone? 3 domestic defeats, pressure building, people starting to talk about City again. But honestly, I'm with Arteta on this. Momentum, narratives, that's all noise. What matters is how this team reacts right now. And I actually think his message was spot on. We don't need to reinvent anything. Just go back to what we've been doing for the last 9 months. Because that's what got us here in the first place. The only thing that worried me a bit. He mentioned the team lacked enjoyment and fight in moments. And that's dangerous, because when the pressure kicks in, that's when you need personality the most. But at the same time, he's right about one thing. If someone told us back in August we'd be in this position now, we'd take it all day long. So now it's simple. This is where champions are made or where it slips away. Massive game coming next, and we'll find out very quickly what this team is really made of. Now I want to hear from you Gooners. Are you worried about this dip in form? Or do you trust this team to bounce back immediately? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're riding this roller coaster of a season like the rest of us, hit subscribe, because these next few weeks are going to be massive.